Bismillah. It's Independence Day. And rather than dismiss it as just a night of fireworks and jingoistic patriotism, it's always good to look deeper. Independence Day is originally represented freedom from tyranny. A beautiful beginning in the history of humankind. In recognition of the sovereignty of the human being. And that sovereignty, the right for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, is not something government gives us. It is innate. It was recognized as being innate to the human being. And it's we who give the right to government to serve us. We hope that this country and other countries can remember that. But it also relates to the theme of the month, which is be free, be cleansed of shallow idolatries. Affirm the real. Ya Haqq. Be cleansed of shallow idolatries. Affirm the real. Ya Haqq. And I want to connect this with the Divine Name Al Karim. Which is an attribute of the human being, an attribute of Allah, but also a potential attribute of the human being. That has to do with nobility and unstinting generosity. And there's a beautiful ayat that I want to share with you. And it's from Surah Isra, which is Surah 17, and it's Ayat 70. And the translation is something like this. We have honored the children of Adam, carried them on land and sea, given them sustenance from things good and pure, and favored them above most of our creation. We have honored the children of Adam. And in Arabic that is, وَلَقَدْ كَرَمْنَا بَنِي Adam. Karamna is related to Kareem. So we are honored by Allah by virtue of the very nature we've been given. That's from Allah's generosity, dignity, nobility, that has been shared with us. وَحَمَلْنَهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ. And we have bared them, carried them, fil bari, over land, and fil bahri. The words are very close, bari and bahri, and H distinguishes them, over land and sea. وَرَزَقْنَهُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ. So we've provided razak for them from this tayyibat, from good things, beautiful things that sustain the body that are really meant to bring life and health and well-being. And finally, wa fadawnahum ala kathiram miman halakna tafdila. An interesting proposition, and we have favored them, us, you, me, above most of our creation. It doesn't actually say we're the pinnacle of creation, but we're pretty high up there. So Karim is the quality of noble character and unlimited generosity, which is what we are called upon to develop, to aspire to. Now remember the theme. Be cleansed of shallow idolatries. Affirm the real. In the time of the Prophet Muhammad, alayhi salam, I don't know that people really took idols very seriously even back then. I'm not sure that anybody really worshipped little clay figurines and so forth. But those who stood on the side of idolatry, those who refused to acknowledge the link with the one divine, with the divine mercy, their idols were really idols of privilege, self-interest, personal power, maintaining a status quo, going along with the herd, sustaining, supporting, being involved in a false reality. These are the real idols, that the shallow idols that this theme refers to, both then and now. I discovered something interesting in Mevlana, so I'm going to pass this out to us. A few poems that refer to this ayat. So Camille, you'll hear lots of resonances in this first poem. Would you read it to us?
You are a bird of the sea. Even though a chicken has sheltered you beneath her wing, the desire in your heart is for the sea. Your soul has that nature from your mother. Leave your land-bound nursemaid and move on. Come into the sea of reality. You are a waterfowl. You can live on land and sea. You are of royal birth, for we have ennobled the children of Adam. You walk on both dry land and sea.
How interesting. I had not really noticed the connection. The relevance of We walk on land and sea. Connected to this, we have ennobled the children of Adam, because until I really looked at this ayat, I wasn't really aware of its, I didn't always think about the whole ayat. I always looked at, we have ennobled the children of Adam. But we have borne them on land and sea. It's an interesting example of how something as almost insignificant as this can have a depth of meaning. It goes far beyond what's immediately apparent. So this theme of you're goes all the way back to Shamsi Tabriz, when he was first teaching Mevlana, and he was describing his childhood. He said, I was born into a barnyard. And I said to my own father, Father, you're of this barnyard, but I'm not. I'm a seabird, and I have to fly to that sea. And he passed that on to Mevlana. Eventually it became something in the Mesnavi. But you see its relevance to our situation. In another poem we will get to, Mevlana talks about a human being is valued according to his or her aspiration. And maybe that's all we can do with this theme. Let it be, a key to some deeper aspiration. Because we're capable, for each of us, we have to figure out what are the subtle, shallow idolatries that break our connection. Because the essence of idolatry is that it breaks the connection to the one, to the real, to the divine, when we unduly focus or become preoccupied with something that breaks our connection to divine remembrance. Then we've lost that connection. And there are so many ways that it can happen. For seekers like ourselves, we're developing a ability to sustain observation of ourselves, an ability for self-awareness. It develops in meditation, in zikr, in all of our practices. If we understand those practices rightly, this is what we're developing, an ability just to be, and be right in front of our own psyche. And notice what we give our attention to, or what takes our attention. And to know, well, what are my true priorities as measured by, what do I give my attention to? Hour by hour, day by day. There's no absolute right or wrong. You can't judge another for what they're giving their attention to. We can hardly judge ourselves, but we can know better from worse according to our aspiration, according to our sense of what is real and what really matters. And the heart knows above all. The heart takes the measure of our actions, our thoughts, our emotions. And all I could say in this theme was, affirm the real. I don't even know what that is. Ya Haqq, Although I know it's beautiful, among certain dervish orders, their greeting is Ya Haqq. Not salam, not Yahoo, Ya Haqq. You see Haqq in each other. When we get beyond the personality, when we get beyond like and dislike. And maybe if we call on Haqq enough, Haqq will be here. Haqq will be more and more evident. But we know what is not Haqq. We know that our blame, of others, our judgment of circumstances, our different kinds of negativities are not Haqq. They're just signs of the ways in which we're veiled and can't see Haqq, can't see through judgment, blame, preconceptions, prejudice to Haqq. So, Anna, would you read the upper right poem?
A bird flies to its nest by means of wings. The wings of the human being are aspiration. In the case of the lover who is soiled with good and evil, don't pay attention to the good and evil. Pay attention to the aspiration. If a falcon is white and beyond compare, still it becomes despicable when it hunts a mouse. And if there is an owl that yearns for the king, it's as noble as the falcon's head. Don't pay attention to its hood. The human being, no bigger than a wooden kneading trough, has surpassed in glory the heavens and the empyrean. Did heaven ever hear the words we have honored, which this sorrowful human being heard from God?
So now you have a little context for those three words, we have honored. The human being, no bigger than a wooden kneading trough, has surpassed in glory the heavens and the empyrean. Elsewhere, Mevlana says, the eye, so small, and yet it can take in a galaxy. This week at our Misnavi class, looking in book 4, around line 400 and subsequent, we were reading about how the human being is not the microcosm, but the macrocosm. We are the microcosm of the universe in terms of our body. So the Platonists and others have said. But from the Sufi point of view, not looking just at the form of the human being, the Platonists and the Egyptians, Pythagoreans, thought of the universe as a cosmic man, and therefore the human being was the microcosm of that great universal being. But from the Sufi point of view, the human being contains all the attributes of the divine, maybe latent, certainly more latent than activated, but that's our aspiration. That's what we aspire to. It's something huge. And every day of our life is an opportunity to not be hunting that mouse, but to know our falconhood. And you know, the falcon is a beautiful metaphor because the falcon that is trained, the falcon that rests on the arm of the sultan, doesn't hunt for itself. It's all about the servanthood of the falcon, and the falcon is trained to go and hunt for its sultan. Be cleansed of shallow idolatries, affirm the real. Lizzie, would you read the one remaining selection for us?
Does anyone write something on a place that has already been written over? Or plant a sapling where one already grows? No. He seeks a blank piece of paper and sows the seed where none has yet been sown. Sister, be bare earth. Be clean paper, untouched by writing, that you may be ennobled by the pen of revelation, so that the gracious one may sow seed within you.
Another example of Mevlana's beautiful capacity to present us with an image that represents, in a way, the real essence of our practice. How to be bare earth, how to be that clean slate, if only for a moment. To develop that capacity, to have a little bit of our human experience be an experience of just being empty and receptive, to see what comes in that state. We have ennobled, we have honored the children of Adam. And then, again, that rascal Dervish Yunus called me today, and he opened the book to this page, and this was exactly the right page for this theme and for this sohbet. So Dervish Yunus says, "Put the world and its adornments aside, the world which weighs less than a dream or a breeze. Did you expect it to be faithful? It's just waiting to run away. Don't wish for things as brief as these, things even the Sultan can't hold on to. We took our worries with us, those imaginary companions, when we could have been with the friend. Balance the books yourself, before someone does it for you. Kill your compulsive self, your nafsamara. Lay it on the stone slab for washing, so that before death surprises you, you'll be in the right hands. Whoever asks you what you believe in, kiss their hands and feet. Show them the answer. Yunus, a straight way seems right for you. Join with truth now. Resurrect with truth, with Haqq. Camille, would you read this to us again?
Put the world and its adornments aside, the world which weighs less than a dream or a breeze. Do you expect it to be faithful? It's just waiting to run away. Don't wish for things as brief as these, things even the Sultan can't hold on to. We took our worries with us, those imaginary companions, when we could have been with a friend. Balance the books yourself before someone else does it for you. Kill your compulsive self. Lay it on the stone slab for washing, so that before death surprises you, you'll be in the right hands. Whoever asks you what you believe in, kiss their hands and feet. Show them the answer. Yunus, a straight way seems right for you. Join with truth now. Resurrect with truth.
Thank you. This week in the Mesnavi reading, Mevlana was also telling us that words can be useful, but action has more power and meaning than words. Yunus's words, whoever asks you what you believe in, show them, kiss their hands and feet. But then Mevlana tells the story of the Caliph Osman and how he stood in front of the community, and he, on a Friday, during a Friday khutbah, and he simply stood there in silence. And maybe people at first were a little uncomfortable, but they stayed in that silence, and they deepened in that silence until some of them were in tears and some of them were in ecstasy. And Mevlana is telling us that, and Osman was telling us, that real action is not a movement of the physical body. Real action is that state of being, is that state of presence, is that state of connection to Allah. I ask myself, is idolatry a useful metaphor, or even a useful language in these days? And I think it is. When we place our trust in false values, in some people turn human beings into idols, turn entertainers, movie stars. I mean, that's the cliche, that's the most common form in our culture. See how many people are following so-and-so on Instagram. Who is their idol? Look at their Instagram account. Yes?
May I bring us back to the first poem, please?
Of course.
And the first poem, I think, is a beautiful tafsir of the ayah that you read, but so much is lost in translation. So we, in English, is a cut and dry language, and I think the meaning here is a little deeper of ennobling. If you read the ayah, when it says, and we carried you,
Yes.
the word carried is actually humble.
Yeah.
So I can carry a grocery bag, but humble is used a mother carrying a child, which is with tenderness,
We bore you,
which is
yeah.
with love, which is a different sort of caring, which in English is I carried you, yeah. I carried
Right.
my groceries in Doria and I carried you.
Yes.
But it's a completely different way of, and then if you read this poem, and then you read why are we ennobled or how are we ennobled? Because mankind, you're of royal birth. Who carried you? The divine carried you
Yeah.
with love, like Ani and Zakia would know. You and I wouldn't know that, but they would know how to carry, what it is to carry a child.
Yes.
So when we say, oh yeah, God says, or the divine said, we carried you, and we're ennobled, that's wonderful. And
Yeah.
then we are trained to be falcons. But if you really look at it, you don't have to be trained. It's somebody who, or something, without assigning sex to it, that bore you.
Yeah.
So then why would you go dip in idolatries or whatever? Why wouldn't you out of love then go and drown in that sea? Not out of obligation, not out of because this is something you have to choose or whatever. If you really know how mankind or how we all are carried, then it becomes a matter that melts you and you cry, and that's how you would go into. So if you go back to the poem and look at it when you translate the ayah and look at how much love is coming down in that revelation, and then read this ayah, then read this poem, which is again, to me, it's revealed. Then it gives you the meaning of what it is to be born,
Yes.
to what it is to be ennobled, and how are you ennobled. It's easy to say, yeah, we ennobled mankind, but how or
Yes.
why? So it explains the whole mechanism of how it is. And then when you read this, it just, anybody with half a heart that's alive will know.
Thank you so much. It's so important. And also, we'll add and provide sustenance out of the tayyibat, the good things. And favored them above most of our creation. Yeah. Yeah, it's a complete image, a complete metaphor for our natural state. And which is why there's so many things in our tradition that emphasize human dignity and the preservation of human dignity. And this is a theme that, and a reminder in a culture like ours, which instead I don't even know what the word is to describe what we're doing to ourselves culturally. Right? You know what I'm talking about?
Or just universally as humanity. I mean, if you just still stay with that image, a mother will give and give and give to a child without asking anything in return.
Right.
And yet the child is usually heedless. And so as humanity, the grace and blessings that we're getting constantly, and yet we're completely heedless and unaware.
Right.
So the idolatry is, there because of our heedlessness. Yet the divine is carrying us, like it says, in land and sea and all that. But the constant blessings and grace that come that we're not aware of or heedless of, if you look at it in that way.
Yeah. Well, being heedless and unaware is one thing, and willfully subverting our humanness, willfully defacing our humanness is a further step. And that's why in our tradition, sin is not an offense against God. It's an offense against our own nature.